Kuala Lumpur is the capital of Malaysia and not only the largest city in the country, but also one of the most rapidly developing megacities in Southeast Asia. It is a place of harmonious interaction of opposites. Contrast is observed here in almost everything: culture, architecture, religion, social sphere. From time to time, Kuala Lumpur appears to be a maze of uncomfortable for pedestrians flyovers and expressways. But then there are islands of forests that reappear, replaced once again by bustling markets surrounded by buildings that rise above the bustling city streets. Kuala Lumpur will undoubtedly appeal to those who find it difficult to decide between the modern dynamics of a metropolis and the complicated history of an ancient city. Malaysians themselves often call their capital simply KLKL. The area of Kuala Lumpur, with its suburbs, is 243 square kilometers. The city itself occupies 94 square kilometers. It has a very high population density, almost 7,000 people per square kilometer. The total number of inhabitants at the time of the last census in 2014 was almost 1.7 million in the city itself and 7 million including the suburbs. Kuala Lumpurians are an extremely diverse people. Malays make up 44% of its representatives, Chinese -43%, Indians 11%, other ethnicities to 2%. It is noteworthy that Malaysians preferred to separate the concepts of capital and administrative center. Since 2005, the country's leadership has moved from Kuala Lumpur to the specially built for this purpose city of Putrajaya. The removal of administrative functions from the current capital has allowed more attention to be paid to the development of the local economy, particularly the tourism business. Kuala Lumpur is located near the west coast of the Malacca Peninsula at the confluence of the Gombak and Klang rivers, completely within the equatorial climate. Tourists should be prepared for heavy rainfall at any time of the year. Rains in the capital of Malaysia are common, but they are warm here, so you will not have to be cold. The maximum of precipitation falls on March and the period from October to January. The minimum in June and July. Fluctuations of average annual and average daily temperatures are insignificant. The average temperature is 27.5 C, maximum to 38.5 C January from May to August, minimum about 18 C March, October, -1. The name of the city of Kuala Lumpur translates into Russian as muddy confluence or dirty estuary, but it is not at all from the fact that the ecology here is bad, as it may seem at first glance. The fact is that the silt at the bottom of the Gombak River is rich in tin compounds, which makes it a dirty gray color. Currents colliding at the confluence of the rivers raise it in the water column, so it becomes muddy and dirty. It was tin that prompted the founding of Kuala Lumpur. In the second half of the 18th century, members of the ruling family of the Principality of Selangor, a British colony, sent 87 Chinese mercenary artisans to search for, or in the jungle along the course of the Gombak River. As one might guess, they did find it, sacrificing the lives of 69 members of the search party who died of malaria. The massive spread of mosquito-borne infections in the swampy area did nothing to stop the profit-hungry rulers of Selangor. In 1857, a workers' settlement was established on the site, consisting mainly of the same Chinese laborers. As is often the case in history, where there is money, there is conflict. Young Kuala Lumpur was no exception. A real civil war broke out in 1867 between Malay chiefs, supported by Chinese miners, over disputes over the ownership of lucrative tin mines. The Selangor War was not ended until 1873, after the intervention of the British Army. The conflict resulted in the near burning of Kuala Lumpur, which was at the time a working-class settlement of huts and shacks with wooden walls and leaf roofs. The British patrons appointed a Chinese captain to rebuild the city and enforce law and order. A third captain, Yap Aloy, made a significant contribution to the city, not only restoring Kuala Lumpur after the war, but also leading it to prosperity. For example, he was credited with massively attracting Malay farmers who settled the surrounding mining village and provided a kind of food autonomy for the workers. Kuala Lumpur's rapid growth as an industrial and commercial city led to it becoming the capital of Selangor in 1880. The prosperity did not last long. In 1881, Kuala Lumpur was badly damaged by fire. For Captain Yap, this disaster was the occasion for even more rapid development. The city was rebuilt again. But instead of impractical wooden shacks, stone houses were erected. The first school and a shelter for the homeless were built in the town. In order to complete the reconstruction as quickly as possible, Indian laborers were actively involved in the construction, who later settled in Kuala Lumpur, establishing a large diaspora. During World War II, the city, as well as the whole of Malacca, was captured by Japan and was under its influence for 44 months. The Japanese actively sowed discord between representatives of the peninsula's multinational population, supporting the indigenous Malays and in every possible way infringing on the numerous diasporas Chinese, Indian, and English. This fact, combined with the fall in the authority of British patrons in the post-war period, led to mass popular unrest. In 1948, attacks on civilians by communist insurgents began. The British Protectorate was never able to take full control of the situation, even imposing martial law on the colony. This period went down in history as the Malayan Emergency. On August 31, 1957, the long-awaited independence of Malaysia and its final withdrawal from British influence was proclaimed. Kuala Lumpur became the capital of the newly formed nation. There is an opinion that the Malaysian capital is not able to please tourists with an abundance of interesting sights. The only exception is the world-famous Petronas Twin Towers, and even then, to get there, you need to make an appointment several days in advance. You can often hear that Kuala Lumpur is a place of transit tourism, where there is no need to stay for more than 2-3 days. If the purpose of travel is to relax on sandy beaches under the hot sun of the tropics, perhaps so, because the seacoast from the city is quite far and there is nowhere to swim. But if the traveler is interested in the history and culture of the locals, it is still worth staying in Kuala Lumpur. The Petronas skyscrapers, of course, are the place to start. At the time of completion in 1998, they were the tallest buildings in the world, 88 floors, 420 meters, but in the modern race of architects and engineers, they are no longer so, leaving behind only the title of the tallest twin towers. This landmark is located in the heart of the city, in the KLCC Kuala Lumpur City Centre district, and welcomes tourists from Tuesday to Sunday from 9:00 to 21 o'clock. The most famous architectural element of the skyscrapers is the glass bridge at a height of 170 meters, which is an observation deck. From here you can enjoy breathtaking views of Kuala Lumpur, especially beautiful at sunset. There is also an art gallery where visitors to the towers can view former and contemporary national art. A visit to the Petronas is worth planning well in advance to avoid the tedious queue for tickets. Not far from the Twin Towers, on Independence Square, Merdeka, is another famous Kuala Lumpur landmark, the Sultan Abdul Samad Palace. Built in the late 19th century, the palace is a fusion of two seemingly incongruous architectural styles. The austere Victorian style, reflecting the period of English colonization, is closely intertwined with the ornate and patterned Moorish style of the indigenous population. The palace looks as if it has stepped out of the pages of an Aladdin fairy tale, and it seems as if a beautiful princess is about to emerge from it. In fact, today it houses the Ministry of Culture of Malaysia, so you can't get inside. Unfortunately, another fantastically beautiful building is the Yamek Mosque, located right at the confluence of rivers. It can be recognized from afar by its white and red walls and silver poppies. Tourists are not allowed inside, but you can walk around the territory of the unique Moorish complex of the temple, enjoying the shade of palm trees, creating an island of harmony in the center of the bustling metropolis. The residence of the Malaysian Sultan, the Ethan Negara Palace, also attracts travelers with its luxury. Every day in the morning, a crowd of tourists gathers at the palace to watch the changing of the guard ceremony, reminiscent of the country's English colonial past. Visitors are not allowed inside, but it is free to enjoy the green lawns and cool fountains outside the palace. Due to the significant cultural and religious differences among the population, Kuala Lumpur is also home to the oldest Hindu temple, Sri Mahamariamman. and the Chinatowns Taoist religious complex, both located in Kuala Lumpur's Chinatown. The Hindu shrine can be recognized by the many colorful statues of deities that fill all the walls of the temple. Visiting Sri Mahamariman is free and possible any day between 6 a.m. and 9 p.m. But it is important to remember to remove your shoes at the entrance. The Chinatowns Chinese temple was built by Yap Aloy to protect the city from sin and mischief, as stated by a plaque at the entrance to the Taoist shrine. When visiting the sites of Chinatown, you can't miss the market next to the Chinatowns temple. Traditionally for Chinatown, here you can find a lot of interesting souvenirs and, of course, bargain. Kuala Lumpur Planetarium Kuala Lumpur has a wide range of exhibitions, without visiting which, it is impossible to get a holistic view of the city and the culture of its inhabitants. The National Museum of Malaysian History, located in Merdeka Square, presents a detailed description of the history of not only the city, but also the entire country, from ancient times to the latest events of the 20th century. Nearby is the National Planetarium, where you can listen to a fascinating excursion about the conquest of space by mankind. See the original model of the International Space Station. Watch movies about the mysterious extraterrestrial world and even look at the stars from a real telescope. Lovers of numismatics will be interested in visiting the National Bank Money Museum. In Kuala Lumpur, the exposition of Islamic art will acquaint visitors with the peculiarities of the Muslim religion. Architecture, national dress, rituals, jewelry, manuscripts, paintings, sculpture, etc. Also the Museum of the Royal Malaysian Police with an impressive collection of weapons. The exhibition of national textiles, near which you can buy high-quality and inexpensive clothes. As well as the Museum of Jade, which is sure to please the ladies, because it has one of the largest expositions of jewelry made of this material. Another local attraction, capable of captivating tourists for a whole day, is the National Science Center of Kuala Lumpur, spread on the hill of Bukit Kiara district. On a huge area of almost 8 hectares, there are 9 expositions designed to popularize science, as well as a mini aquarium with an underwater tunnel for visitors, a dinosaur park, a small water park, and other entertainment for the whole family. Much attention is paid by the authorities to greening the city and preserving the species diversity of flora and fauna. Right in front of the Petronas twins, there is a central park, where you can find 66 species of palm trees. There are also many flower beds, fountains, and alleys for strolling. For those who watch their health, Kuala Lumpur Central Park has rubberized running tracks. At the western end of the park, there is a play area for children with an outdoor pool. The most famous place to connect with nature in Kuala Lumpur is the National Lake Park Taman Tasik Perdana. It is a place where you can relax your body and soul. An oasis of untouched tropics and virgin jungle. Strolling along the shady alleys, you can come across a garden of unrivaled orchids and hibiscus. A mesmerizing butterfly park where more than 6,000 of these beautiful creatures live. Or miniature ungulates mouse deer, the world's smallest representatives of this genus. Also included in the lake complex is a bird park, perhaps the only source of noise here, with over 2,000 feathered inhabitants constantly singing their songs.